durability, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.
Good evening. I'm happy to come your way with Ghana tonight. Let's look at our top stories. Former President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo calls party support as he dangles the vision of a 2028 electoral win. Tonight, what the ex-president has been saying. Also to come, standoff as Tewu refuses a call of strike despite calls from Labour Commission to do so and return to talks. Tonight, never before heard development as all parties speak to Ghana tonight. Also tonight, new assurances from government to prospective senior high school students that all matters of placements are being resolved. Tonight, what an extended reopening date means. Those are the top stories. I'm so grateful for your company. If you'd like to be a part of the program as you watch us on TV3 or listen to us on 392.7 FM, maybe even on Facebook.com, X.com, and on YouTube.com, you can use the hashtag Ghana Tonight to share your thoughts, your comments, and ask your questions. I am Keminni Amanor. Let's bring you now Ghana Brief.
President Mahama says the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, is continuing discussions with Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, the three Sahelian nations that recently exited the bloc to form the Alliance of Sahel States. Speaking at the Jubilee House during a courtesy call by Germany's newly appointed ambassador to Ghana, President Mahama stressed that unity was critical in addressing the security and development challenges confronting the ECOWAS sub-region.
We are engaging in continuous dialogue with them because we realize that the difficulty they face is not theirs alone. And if we don't solidarize, it could spread over the whole of the sub-region. We value the cooperation we have with Germany in terms of the fight against terrorism and violent extremism. And we hope that we'll be able to deepen that relationship in terms of technical support, in terms of training and joint, exercises.
The national chairman of the governing National Democratic Congress, NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, says his ongoing nationwide thank you tour is aimed at reconnecting with the grassroots members who played a pivotal role in the party's overwhelming victory in the December 2024 elections. According to him, the collaboration between the party's leadership and grassroots supporters was instrumental in helping the NDC secure a significant increase in parliamentary seats during the election.
People across Ghana are praising us for leading the party to victory. But the real credit goes to you, the branches. Real credit goes to you, the branches, constituencies, zonals, and regions. On behalf of the party, thank you all for your hard work in the 2024 elections.
Former President Akufo-Addo says he is confident the party will return to power in 2028 because of the unprecedented developments by his administration and that of former President Kufuor. He was addressing party supporters at Bantama earlier today. What the NPP did during my time and during former President Kufuor's time is enormous, and is the legacy we will build on to win back power in 2028. We have all seen what is happening. You've all seen it. Things are not going well. But when we unite and do things right, I know that with God's help, we will reclaim power in 2028. Ghana is facing a growing epidemic non-communicable disease like hypertension and diabetes. But while cases rise, experts warn the health system isn't ready to handle this pandemic.
I would say that we are not fully ready because the rate at which it is increasing is alarming. So in terms of personnel, in terms of infrastructure, if we get the numbers increasing at this alarming rate, we are heading for trouble.
Thousands of residents of Sola Tuna Kauba have been displaced by the recent conflict due to the protracted land dispute. Thousands had to flee to neighboring Ivory Coast and Burkina Faso. Women and children were mainly affected. Moved by the plight of the conflict-displaced persons in the Bole and Sola Tuna Kauba district, President John Mahama has, through the Greenhouse Company Limited, presented relief items to them. The presentation was done on behalf of Greenhouse by Mr. Wilson Wu. He assured the people of Bole and Tuna Kauba that they stand ready to work in hand with communities to help restore total peace and stability. The Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy, CEMSE, has criticized Energy Minister John Jinapor's projection that Ghana will achieve 35% renewable energy and its power mix by December 2025. Executive Director of CEMSE, Benjamin Nsia, stated that the claim is an overstatement in the country's Renewable Energy Master Plan and the Renewable Energy Act.
As of 2015, our hydro mix within our energy space or the installed capacity was 43%. So if Ghana had already attained 43% of hydro, then means that if we are using large hydro at the benchmark, then Ghana has already achieved within the 10% of the renewable that we're talking about. So renewable. So this overstatement must not be accepted. I think that Ghana will not achieve 35% of renewable energy by December 2025. We are not there yet.
Let's get down to some business of the night. Tonight, a look at the NPP's journey to recovery and repositioning for a future electoral victory, as the former president touts his achievements are better than the NDC government. Now, tonight, former President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo joins the party's recovery train as he addressed party supporters today in the Ashanti region. The ex-president also took a swipe at the current president and over what he says is the state of the country today. Akufo-Addo is also confident the NPP will return to power in 2028 because of the unprecedented development by his administration and that of former President Kufuor. Yes, the former president in Bantama earlier today.
The work the NPP did during my time and during former President Kufuor's time is enormous and is the legacy we will build on to win back power in 2028. We have all seen what is happening. You've all seen it. Things are not going well, but when we unite and do things right, I know that with God's help, we will reclaim power in 2028.
Let's connect further on this story. Shanti Region correspondent William Evans Inkom is joining us now with a bit more on this. William, thank you so much for staying up tonight for us. But tell us a bit more about this rally of sorts that the former president held in Bantama today.
Well, Keminni, thanks for having me. So you would want to see it as just an opening of a new constituency party office, and of course, drawing the creme de la creme of the opposition new patriotic party. But that is just for the optics, because it goes beyond that. It has everything to do with reviving the base of the party. Keminni, let me tell you what. Look at the caliber of people who converged at Bantama today. We are talking about Peter McMahon, the former national chairman of the party, who has also been playing some significant roles when it comes to internal elections of the new patriotic party. We have Albert Kanapa, former national security minister, former member of parliament. And of course, we also have the likes of the former president, the second president under the Fourth Republic, and the first ever leader to have won power for the opposition New Patriotic Party. And I'm talking about John Agyekum Kufuor, His Excellency. Then we have the immediate past president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. These were the caliber of people, or some of the caliber of people who were at Bantama today. Now, let's talk about the environment. Bantama, don't forget, in the 2000 elections, ensured that MPP wins significantly to grab political power for the first time under the Fourth Republic, since the inception of the party in 1992.
Right.
And that earned Bantama the name Florida. So rejuvenating or reviving the base certainly will be, there will be no other better environment to do that than Bantama constituency. Because if you look at 2020 elections, results of 2020 elections, and that of 2024, you will also realize that there was a drop. I wouldn't want to call it significant, because that would be maybe overly exaggerating. But presidential, Bantama NPP dropped from 88% to 79%.
Right.
That is in percentage. In nominal figures, it dropped from in excess of 57,000 to 44,000. So if Bantama is dropping and there's apathy, some level of apathy as far as the rank and file of the party, that same place that has proven to be a powerhouse of the NPP should be the same place that should be used as a rejuvenating point for the party. And that is why we saw the likes of Remo Paré and all of that coming through to re-energize the party base.
I see. And Evans, that's the point I want to make also, that while we see that obviously people are happy to see all these stalwarts, but particularly the former president, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, those statistics that you also mentioned to us paint a picture of a constituent, a very large constituent that are also unhappy with the NPP. So let's talk about today, whether or not that rally gains the support, the response of the people of the Ashanti region, and not just Bantama. What did it look like?
Well, it was very impressive for the MPP, and maybe to some extent you would say that, judging from the facial expression of the people, I'm talking about the leaders of the party, they were happy to see the people coming through and also building some level of, or reviving some level of hope in them. So yes, they were happy to see the likes of former President Kufuor. It's been a very long time since he came to Bantama. And of course, Frema Opare, the former chief of staff, and then Nana Dankwa Kufuor himself, because the last time he came to Bantama was December, late November or early part of December. He came there to commission a police station that was built by the member of parliament who happens to be, a deputy chief of staff during his administration. I'm talking about Asenso Boache. And coming there again revived some level of hope among the rank and file of the party in the Bantama constituency.
Very well, Evans, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much for talking to us here on Ghana Tonight. Now, I want to take the conversation now to political analyst Dr. Joshua Zato, who's also joining us via Zoom. Doc, I mean, let's take it out from where Evans leaves it, right? We're seeing the collection of stalwarts in one place, something we haven't seen in a while for the NPP. What does it say? What does that picture say about the NPP's journey to recovery?
Thank you very much. Good evening, Keminni, and good evening to your listeners. I was telling you that 10 o'clock is always way past my bedtime, but I'm here, glad to be here. If you look at the current political climate, you saw something that keeps happening. This is not the first time we have seen the MPP trying to show that, one, they understand the enormity of the task ahead of them. On so many occasions, you've seen on the same platform, His Excellency President Kufuor, His Excellency Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Those pictures have shown on a number of times on the national stage. And as you know, pictures say it a million times. It's louder than words, right? If you look at that picture, and there's a reason why these three people always sit together, and if you watch the way they sit, I don't think it's by mistake. You will always see that Nana Dankwa is always in the middle, Kufuor is either to his right or left, and Bawumia is there. It always show the succession of the MPP. They make it possible to let people understand that Kufuor came representing Buzia, Akufo-Addo came representing Dankwa, and that Bawumia is supposed to come representing Dumbo. They always try to show that. That is what is behind the meaning, is behind the message. But then you begin to ask yourself, what were they all doing, or what were they doing in Bantama today, where they commissioning it? If you remember, throw your mind back, let's say when we started watching with that, all the social media and things, almost every election came down to two different constituencies, Bantama and Ketu South, if you remember very well. Bantama and Ketu South became symbolic. And usually, I remember those days we used to wait for the results from those two constituencies to finally determine who is winning or who is not winning. So there's a reason why they met there today. It's a reason why the MPP sees that re-energizing the base will have everything to do with the either one, the physical and the symbolic nature of that constituency called Bantama. Bantama has become, or if you look very well, it's either the Waterloo or it has also become the springboard for the NPP. And they've realized that even though the constituency has been broken down a lot, the numbers and the significance of Bantama means a lot to the NPP as a political party. So probably that is why they met there. Bantama did a lot of magic for Kufuor in 2004, and probably some magic for Akufo-Addo in 2016. So it is that symbolic way that they went there to say that if the party is going to re-energize, let's go back to the symbolic nature of Bantama and its role in Ghanaian politics.
I see, Doc. I mean, clearly the party has its eyes on one thing, to recover from the loss of 2024. We already know that some efforts have been rolled out at a time when the party is headed into crucial internal elections. But let's gauge the process, right? Let's gauge the progress, and whether or not toying with the idea of winning 2028 election is just toying, maybe even elusive, or is really getting itself into post for that electoral win come 2028. And so, Doc, so for me again, whether or not that is not an exaggerated thinking at this point for the NPP to start to see itself as victorious in the 2028 election, given the position they find themselves in at this time. What will be your response to that?
Thank you. If you are the NPP, and if you just look carefully in the scene, then you will salivate at the idea of capturing Papa into power in 2028. And I'm going to tell you why. First of all, you need to look, the NPP or the aspirants look at the NDC's bench. They look at the men and women who are likely to try to take over from His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. And they ask themselves, that bench is inexperienced. That bench is made up of lightweights. That bench is made up of rookies. That bench is weak. And so the NPP thinks that if they come out with a candidate like His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who is a Ronaldo or a Messi, he's different way of the bench. So they look at the weak nature of the NDC's bench and they tell themselves that they have a bigger chance, a better chance. That's the first thing they look at. Because, see, you can make the point that His Excellency President Mahama is the most experienced politician in Ghana right now, you'll be right. You can make the point that His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama is one of the most marketed and well-known politicians in Ghana right now, and you'll be right. And you also realize that President John Dramani Mahama is a generational gap between the Ghanaians who fought, or the politicians who fought for our current democratic dispensation, those who fought probably the Champong, AFRC, PNDC, and earlier NDC, to now, and then the current crop of politicians who emerged post the 92 or who emerged during the democratization process in Ghana. His Excellency President Mahama is that bridge between them. So if you take out right now, if you take out President Mahama, then the next most marketable, most experienced, most intelligent presidential or politician in Ghana is Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
But you know, Doc, I didn't see us getting there. But you know, I will resist the temptation of us getting into a banter of who is the best candidate for the NPP at this time. But I'll but I'll ask you this. Are you saying that about the former Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, because you are in his camp?
No, I'm stating facts that are objective. Right now, there's nobody that can deny the fact that His Excellency President Mahama is the most experienced, most
no, but that's the point I'm making, right? And again, I want to resist the temptation of going into the internal, presidential primary for the NPP. No, but hang on. What I'm saying is that when you talk about experience, and you take out the current president because he won't be in the 2028 election, and your argument is that whoever comes then from the NDC will not have as much experience as the former Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. It is flawed because when did Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia openly engage in politics? Anybody else who comes from the NDC will be a much more experienced politician than Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, which will be the same with the internal elections of the NPP. So what are you talking about?
Okay, so let me explain.
Right.
His Excellency Dr. Bawumia, this is why and these are the empirical reasons why I make that again, so that you will see it's empirical. One, he has been on the presidential ticket for 5 times right now. 2 times as a losing vice presidential candidate. No, 3 times, 2 times as a losing vice presidential candidate, and 2 times as a winning vice presidential candidate. And then 1 time as a losing presidential candidate. So in all 5, he has contested in 5 national elections where he has been on the ballot box. Nobody in the NDC right now, apart from His Excellency President Mahama, has been on a ballot box that much. That's the first fact I'm saying. Nobody. In fact, the closest is the current vice president, who is, this is he has just been on the ballot box twice. On the listen twice. One losing, one winning. He's the next. So
on the ballot.
This is empirical. It's empirical. It's
Right.
not subject to interpretation.
No, it is. It is. But thank you for the clarification, because if your definition for experience is the face on the ballot paper, I can understand what you're saying. But if it is, if it is in the sense of politics, no, hang on. Hang on. I'll hear the second one. If it is in respect of political play, then that definition of experience is flawed. But let's hear your second one, because I want us to look at other issues.
One is the visibility, and the second one is executive experience. Experience either as a president or vice president, and having acted as a president in the absence of a president. So experience in the Jubilee House as either the president or the vice president having acted. No other person in Ghana, apart from, you could say, the current sitting vice president, also has the same experience that Bawumia has.
I see.
That's
I see. So then back to my question. The original question was whether or not the NPP, as it is now, is positioning itself, or even in the path of positioning itself, to be a better option or a winner of the 2028 general elections.
Yes, and that is why I'm saying. So I'm telling you how the people understands one thing. One, the restructuring, every political party, once you lose power, especially after 8 years, you begin to restructure. But whilst you're also restructuring, you also have an eye on your opponent, the incumbent. And so for the NPP, they are looking at two things. How they are doing their own internal restructuring, and secondly, how they see the NDC performing, because they also understand that
Very
the
well.
moment His Excellency President Mahama is leaving the stage, a big gap is opened. A big opportunity is opened, because if he was the same person going twice, it's a different calculation. But the fact that he's leaving, a gap exposes, and they smell blood, and they smell it. Thirdly or fourthly, just this month or this week, Imani Africa or Imani Ghana came out with a report, basically saying that the NDC's favorability or whatever has eroded. They just said it. If that report is true, and I have no reason to question Imani, that would be the fastest that any incumbent has quickly eroded their goodwill.
I haven't seen that report that you are referring to.
Imani, I can easily get it for you. And Imani mentioned a number of reasons, but this is the point. So if you see that in 9 months your goodwill has completely eroded, Imani mentioned a number of selective justice, poor galamsey fight. When you see that, if an incumbent in 9 months, your goodwill is eroded that fast, it really tells you, because remember,
I see.
If you go back through your mind, throw your mind back to 2017 by this time. By this time, the NPP was riding high on goodwill because they have just launched the free HSS and everything. It was kumbaya. It was really nice. And they were able to ride that goodwill for almost 2 years before they went to elections. So if you lose your goodwill in 9 months, after just one budget, then the question then tells you that what happens. Thirdly, fourthly, you saw the NDC's national chairman embarking on a premature thank you tour, something that has never happened before. We know it. It's the losing candidates or the winning candidates in their parties who go on a thank you tour. They go to thank the volunteers and the workers who help them either win or lose their elections.
I mean, but what is wrong with the winning candidate also deciding that, the chairman of the winning party deciding that I want to go and do a thank you tour? Well, and again, hang on. I want you to stay on topic, right?
Okay.
Would hear from Chairman Asiedu Nketia while he was on that thank you tour, right? But stay on the subject for me, which is based on what you have said, then you agree with the former president that his tenure is better than the current administration. Is that true?
Well, so again, I'm saying he's asking himself, if you look, I just made the point that if in 9 months your goodwill is eroded, then the former president asking himself, in 9 months, what was his goodwill? He was riding high. In 9 months, September 2017, as I've just said, there were good things you could mention. Things were happening, empirical, verifiable facts. Parents were breathing a sigh of good relief. Their children were going to school with free education.
So the government the NPP left behind is better than the government we have now in the last 9 months.
Again, I'm trying to say that I'm making look right now. I've just given you some pointers that.
No, the question I have asked you, you are not answering, Doc. The question I asked you is whether or not it is true, as the former president has said, that his time as president is better than the 9 months we are experiencing so far under John Dramani Mahama as president.
Well, I don't know the indicators he used. That's why I was trying to say that I would not use a very big brush to try to compare an 8-year administration to, let's say, a 9-month administration. So what I was trying to do is to do an apple-to-apple comparison, comparing Nana Akufo-Addo in his 9 months into office vis-a-vis the current administration into their 9 months into office. That's what I wanted. I think that is a fair analysis to do, because to use 8 years to measure against 9 months, I personally think it's not fair. So if you then do that, if you then extrapolate that data and then look at where was Akufo-Addo 9 months into administration and currently where is John Dramani Mahama 9 months administration, you will realize that there's a gap, and that Akufo-Addo at this time was still riding high in approvals and in general likability by Ghanaians, especially his policies. One big policy just came to what? Blanket hold, and everybody was laughing and loved it. Still now. Today, if you do a similar thing, I've just told you one, that's an empirical report saying that the current government, its favorability has nosedived and has diminished. And again, it's by independent think tank called Keminni.
I'd have to study that report and see. But
I will use the whole of Akufo-Addo's 8 years to measure President John Dramani Mahama's 8 months. If I do that, it's not fair. But I can use their first 9 months each. And if you do that, if you extrapolate the data from that, then you will say that Akufo-Addo was right. That his first 9 months at least were way, way better than the current 9 months of this incumbent government.
I see. We'll leave it here. Thank you so much for staying up tonight for us. Dr. Joshua Zato is a political analyst. We've just been looking at the NPP's journey to recovery. But you heard Dr. Zato mention that thank you tour embarked upon by the NDC's national chairman, Johnson Asiedu Nketia. Now, he says that he is reconnecting with the party's grassroots while on his very controversial thank you tour. Let's take a listen.
People across Ghana are praising us for leading the party to victory. But the real credit goes to you, the branches. Real credit goes to you, the branches, constituencies, zonals, and regions. On behalf of the party, thank you all for your hard work in the 2024 elections.
Constituency 4, zonal 4, and region 4. The party, a year 2024 campaign.
Johnson Asiedu Nketia is the NDC's national chairman on that thank you tour. Let's get into other issues now. Academic work could be in limbo if TAWU continues to be on strike at the start of a new academic year. Tonight, what government is doing to prevent a shutdown? Hear this, more than 50,000 members of the Teachers and Educational Workers Union is on an indefinite strike. This is intended to force government to meet its long-standing conditions of service. General Secretary James Azotiba addressed the press earlier today.
We also demand that the weekend overtime and holidays overtime allowances to our security and catering personnel across the educational sector space should also be concluded and signed. And all unresolved promotion and transfers grievances in the Ghana Education Service, we call for the condition of service to be negotiated, concluded, and signed. We demand immediate signing of the condition of service for all the junior staff of the public universities and the public technical universities. We know the first year student of the senior high school, the placement has been posted and admission is going to begin very soon. It is my members, the administrators, who are going to do the admission. But this strike that we are sitting home is not against the student, it's not against the parents. We are also parents and we have students there.
Now, a few things have happened since the strike was declared today. Both employers and the arbiter in the matter, the National Labour Commission, have intervened. For instance, the National Labour Commission has asked members to call off the strike and return to talks. Will the unions agree? Now, that's a question I want to take to General Secretary, who you just saw in that insert there, King James Ozotiba. Again, thank you so much for joining us here, James. Will you call off the strike and return to talks? Well, let's speak quickly with the General Secretary who's joining us via Zoom on this matter. Let's quickly do that. I couldn't hear you earlier. My question is rather straight and simple. Will you call off the strike and return to talks?
Not for now. I haven't heard anything, so I don't think I can commit to that.
How do you mean you haven't heard anything?
So I'm just hearing from the news that there's something from the National Labour Commission. But to the best of my knowledge, I haven't received any communication to that extent.
If you were asked to call off the strike and return to talks, will you?
Oh, not just like that. Without any commitments, then we just go back to the same cycle. We embarked upon the strike as a last resort or the last weapon that trade unions use to achieve whatever they are demanding.
I see.
So
Jim.
we're just calling off the strike without any commitment from the other side. I think it is premature.
I see. But let me bring in now, James, hang on for me. Let me bring in now Dr. Bernice Welbeck, who's Executive Secretary for the National Labour Commission. Again, what I have asked you, your response to that question is what I put to Dr. Welbeck. Dr. Welbeck, good evening to you. The question is straight and simple. And don't go away, James. We're still here with you. It's clear that the workers, the union, will not take the path that you have asked for, that they call off the strike and return to talks. How does that come to you?
Well, first of all, let me explain that the notice that was served for the strike was served on us by copy yesterday, I think late yesterday, and so I received it this morning, and it's dated the 16th of September, served on the 18th of September. And even the service, you know, under Section 159 of the law, if you want to serve a notice of strike, you serve it on the employer and the commission. That's what the law says. And at least you give 7 days. So granted even that, they have served it properly. The 7 days also starts counting the date or the day that the letter is received.
I see.
So we received the letter yesterday, late yesterday, and today we wrote to them, drawing their attention and asking them to call off the strike, because normally when you are on strike and the commission intervenes, as soon as even a letter is issued, it is intervention. And so under section 161 of the law, we have what we call a cooling off period. So you need to call off the strike and appear, because you can't be on strike and still be talking. And so it's important that this clarification is made. It's only today, just around almost 5 o'clock, when now we receive a formal notice of strike now directed at us. I mean, served on us, that they have commenced a strike.
Very well.
So clearly, there's a serious procedural flaw, and indeed, under these circumstances, it's better they call off the strike and appear for the commission to go into the matter.
Fantastic. Now let's take that procedural flaw to the union. And James, I hope you're still here with us. A few things that Dr. Welbeck has mentioned. One, that letter to you has been, the letter from you, the notice to the Labour Commission has been received, and they have responded to you as well, asking you to call off the strike. Is that true or not?
Yes, that is true, but I think Doc knows that we had served the employers and we have served the commission notice of our intended strike more than 2 weeks ago. The letter she's referring to was signed 2 days ago and delivered yesterday. Yes, I'm aware of it. I signed it personally. Was referencing to our letter of notice that there was no response from their end. And so we were just referencing to the notice that has been served already to both the commission and the national, our employers. And Doc can also recall that based on our notice, they even wrote to the employer agents and the fair wages to respond to our request within 7 days. They have responded, and why didn't they communicate with us? And so for us, yes, we cannot have any battle with them. Doc is the Labour Commission and the unions. We are like chicken and mortar. We will always feed together. And so for me, what she's saying, maybe I think she didn't read our letter that was sent as a confirmation that our intended strike is taken off.
I see. I'll stay with you a bit longer, James, because what she explains is, yes, she talks about you talking about your grievances 2 weeks ago, but the actual letter notifying the commission was only 2 days ago, which means that you haven't posted the 7-day notice. Now, from what your own narration, she had also written to your employers and the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission to respond within that 7-day period. Based on the chronology of events, then you haven't exhausted your 7 days. But the other issue she's also raised is that when you wrote to her in the last 2 days, she has responded to you and asked you to call off the strike. Now, you also know that once the National Labour Commission is involved and intervenes, you should call off the strike and return to work. So why won't you do that?
Oh, well, we are just hearing this evening, and what you are just saying is a different thing. Doc knows that the letter that he's referring to is reference to a letter earlier sent to her office. And so we are law-abiding union. We know the right thing. We have gone through the right procedure, and she's aware.
Very
so
well.
We follow we read the letters and we'll follow up to it.
Very well. Let me bring in Dr. Welbeck again. Doc, you heard from the Union General Secretary, they will not return until something concrete is done to give them good faith. How does it come to you?
Well, the commission has invited them, and the date of the hearing, I mean, the commission has summoned all the parties, and the day has not yet come. for the commission to make a decision as to whether they would call off and come, or they will still be on strike and come. And so I would leave that to the commission to take that decision on the 1st of October, where they have been asked to come.
I see. When is this meeting taking place, you say?
So the meeting is scheduled for the 1st of October. You know, the commission currently is on recess. And even though it's on recess, when we have serious matters, we summon the meeting. And in fact, like I said from the beginning, that's the notice that has been served. The notice has not satisfied the law. You have to give 7 days notice, at least 7 days notice.
I see.
And then the day of receipt
and Doc,
of the notice,
I think at this point, that 7-day notice is being contested by the union. But you tell us that you have called them to a meeting. James, they have called you to a meeting. Do you have notice of that meeting you are to attend?
I'm here to get my copy of that notice.
I see. Will you attend the meeting?
So, of course, yes. We work together, and therefore we are law-abiding union. We work together, and if there's a call from the Fair Wages to us and the National Labour Commission to my union, we'll read it and then we'll look at it. After all, she says the date is on the 1st of October.
That's correct.
So, yeah, we still have time to be able to solve ourselves before we get there. No problem.
I see. Doc, my final question to you tonight will be, what has the employer done to meet their demands?
You know, they actually initially, TEWU has sent us a complaint indicating, I think they mentioned 4 institutions about their conditions of service not concluded and signed, as it were. And so the commission wrote to in fact, we acted immediately on that letter. We wrote to the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission and asked them to respond to the concerns of TEWU. In fact, it's also this evening that we received the response to the concerns that they have raised from Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. We've even not had the time to examine the response. So I believe that indeed, when they have filed the complaints before us, and when they were aware, or they are aware, that we were taking steps to deal with the matters, if for any reason they felt a delay or something, they should have come back to us, because we asked Fair Wages and Salaries to respond to the issues, and we were waiting. And so they could have made a follow-up, because we wrote to Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. They didn't. They filed a complaint with us, but we didn't. They didn't notify us. They didn't tell us anything.
I see.
And then all of it. If I say that they didn't notify us, because when you serve as a copy of a letter, you are only giving us information. You are not asking. You are not formally filing a complaint. I mean, that is the procedure.
I see.
So I just want to urge them that at the end of the day, what you want is a result. And they are saying that this document or this process had gone on for some time, and it has not been concluded and signed. And it's as a result of that, they have gone on the indefinite strike, asking that until the document is signed or the negotiations is concluded, then they would not call off the strike. But it's important also to note that you cannot, and this is still the law, you can't be on strike and be negotiating.
Very well. Very well.
You can't be on strike and be negotiating. And so I was still insisting.
I see Dr. Welbeck and James, hang on for me. I want to bring in now the Labour Minister, Dr. Rashid Pelpo. Doc, you've heard the conversation so far. A section of Labour is on strike. There's been a call for the union to return to work and return to talks for an amicable solution to their challenges. But, you know, we are not seeing that based on how the conversation has gone so far. How does this come to you as Labour Minister?
The information got to us through the media. They had written a letter informing us about their desire, and they had threatened to go on strike if we didn't respond adequately to their needs. And so they had discussions with the Ministry of Education, and when their first letter came, we referred it to the Labour Commission. Labour Commission met them and issued a statement about it. And I'm sure they are not happy with what the Labour Commission has said, and decided to go on strike the way they are in now.
I see, but I get the most important question tonight in order to prevent a shutdown of the academic year will be, what are the interventions the ministry is engaging in now?
Yeah, yes, today I had a meeting with the executive, the executive as a whole, and I had a long discussions with them. We all agreed that we can come to a certain compromise, except that they insisted that some concrete information needs to be given to them, and some, you know, acceptance by government to their needs need to be communicated to them for them to give up the strike. I have told them that it is something we are working on, and that they will lose nothing if eventually we get to the conclusion of our discussion and agreed on it. Today too, I had I met the Minister of Finance. So we are up to the task, and we are working towards getting this strike off the line, and also get them to get to work and understand that this is something that is affecting the whole nation, not just, you know, it's not just about them wanting to get what they are asking for, but the consequence of it is that people are not going to benefit from their services. And there was a particular question I asked them: if we will take 1 month to address this problem, and then will you take 1 month to go on strike until we address the problem? So this is where we have gotten up to.
Very well. Let's take all of that to the union now. James, you said you will not go to talks until you have something. I have brought you something. One, the Labour Commission says there's a meeting on October 1st. They also say they have heard from the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. The minister, on the other hand, says, I've met you, we've had discussions, and the question he ends with, so if it takes a month for us to resolve the issue, would you stay away for a month? Your reaction to what you have said so far?
Yeah, thank you very much. And thank you, Honorable, for that reassurance, for working hard to make sure that we resolve this. We are not also a strike-happy people. We are not also very happy when we go on strike. And so we believe our Honorable Minister of Labor and Employment, we believe what he said. This afternoon we had very frank discussions with him, and we only pray that he also understands the pressure on the heirs and the needs of our members. And so we pray that it won't take 1 month. That one for sure. Nobody will say that. It won't take 1 month.
So here's what I'll ask to end our conversation. Will you now call off the strike and return to talks?
So, my dear, I think we are progressing very nicely. The Honorable Minister has given us some assurance. Doc from the National Labour Commission has also said she has written to us, inviting us for a meeting by the 1st. And so in between this, now to the 1st, I'm sure with what the assurance that we are getting from the Honorable Minister and the discussions that he's proceeding with, I believe before the 1st, we will have some news.
Very well. We'll end it here. Thank you so much for your time. King James Azotiva, General Secretary of TEWU, Dr. Bernice Welbeck, Executive Secretary of the National Labour Commission, and the Honorable Labour Minister, Dr. Rashid Pelpo. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time tonight here. I'll take a very quick break. When I come back, let's do a little bit on the computerized school placement system. You want to stay on for this? Don't go away. Welcome back. I'm glad you're still here with us on 392.7 FM and on TV3. This is Ghana Tonight. I'm Keminni Amanor. It's day 3 since senior high school placements were released, and more parents and prospective students alike are pouring into resolution centers to resolve challenges with the system of selections. Some parents spoke with TV3, but first let's take a listen to Dr. Clement Apak, the Deputy Education Minister, as he reassured parents that all is being done to restore and resolve their issues.
We will do our best to meet our needs, but also to remind them that we have limited spots, particularly in the top tier schools, the grade A schools, and the numbers seeking those schools are many. So it is not possible that everyone will get the school of your choice. But equally, other schools are important and capable of meeting the educational needs and aspirations of the awards. So my visit is to reassure parents on behalf of the minister.
Let's have a quick chat on the back of this. Daniel Fenyi is PRO for the Ghana Education Service. I also have on Zoom Dr. Peter Antipati, who is Executive Director of the Institute for Education Studies. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time here. I'll start with you, Daniel. Daniel, we keep seeing this over and over again. What really are the problems this time?
For the opportunity, and indeed, as you rightly mentioned, for some of the problems we keep seeing them over and over, actually because there are different categories of the challenges. The first part of the challenge is that the students themselves, right, and then to a larger extent the parents of the learners, sometimes get a change of preference after the placement has come out. So indeed, the schools that they are placed are schools they choose. You know, back in JHS3, they were made to choose 7 schools, right? So what we have observed in the complaints and the data we have gotten from concerned parents and students is that even though they chose 7 schools and submitted 7 schools to us, deep inside their heart, they want the first choice, right? So really, it is only the first choice school that they wish to be placed.
Right.
But the computer doesn't think in that manner. For the computer, once you have submitted 7 schools or fed it with 7 schools, the computer takes it for granted that you are comfortable with any of the schools you'll be placed. So the computer looks into your raw scores, your aggregate, competitiveness of the school, competitiveness of the program, among other factors. Then you are placed to where you deserve. When that happens, a couple of parents come back that they are not comfortable with the place. The students complain that they don't want where they are placed. Sometimes even
and then Daniel, there are those who are not placed at all. But with the academic year starting soon, we're hearing talks of an extension. Is that correct?
That is not correct. That's not coming from us. So what's happening is that for those who have not been placed yet, they are given the opportunity to do self-placement. And so for the self-placement, you know, after we have done all the placement, call it automatic placement, there are still some schools that have vacancies that were less subscribed. And so we list all those schools in the portal again for learners who could not get automatic placement to go back to the portal, go through the schools that have been uploaded on the portal, and then select any of them. Then you get instant admission. And as I talk to you right now, we have about 80,000 of our learners who have self-placed themselves in the schools that have been uploaded on the portal. So from where we sit, majority of the learners who were not placed are able to place themselves, and majority of them have already done that. We are hoping that in the coming days, in the next 2 to 3 days, all of them would have placed themselves.
Very well.
For those doing self-placement, and then they could move on to the next level. Yes.
Dr. Patti, I'll bring you in at this point. What really, are your thoughts about the situation, the fact that we encountered these problems? They have become legacy problems, so to speak.
Yes, you are right. Well, I think that the fundamental issue is always a discrepancy between the expectation of the candidate and what he actually gets after the BEC results are released. Now, the expectation of the candidate leads to the candidate selecting schools that he thinks are better for him. But then when the reality of his performance is brought to bear after the BEC results are released, he feels, or he then realizes that his performance will not enable him get to that school. But by that time, he has already selected the schools, and therefore you see that he would not get the schools that he has selected because he didn't perform as expected. And that is why I think that the Ministry of Education, I think it's time that we take a second look at how we do this school selection thing. I don't know why.
But what would be the solution?
To select the schools before.
What would be the solution?
The schools should be selected after the results have been released. I think that is the best, so that the students know their performance. If you know that you are getting 29, you will not go and select Presec and select science. But because you are going, you believe in yourself, you believe in your capability, you decide to select Presec and you want to do science. And then you go and write the exams and you get 20. And you are disappointed, but you still believe that there's a way that the computer can place you in Presec. And that is what is creating all this. So the best solution to this is for the students to select the school after the results have been released.
I see.
And there you will see people selecting schools that will meet their real performance.
Gentlemen, I'm out of time. This is all we can talk about within our very limited time. But thank you so much for joining us tonight here on the program. Dr. Patti Anti is Executive Director for the Institute for Education Studies. Over the telephone was Daniel Fenyi, who is the PRO for the Ghana Education Service. This story will also appear in subsequent broadcasts throughout the weekend. You want to make time and watch that as well. But I also want you to know that tomorrow morning, Alfred Okanse will be here with his panelists for the week's biggest stories on key points. On Sunday, I will sit down with the Executive Secretary of the National Identification Authority. All your questions answered here on TV3. Remember that the time for hot issues has changed. It's no longer 2 p.m. It is 1 p.m. Remember that for this weekend and for the next 8 months or so. I am Keminni Amanor. Always a pleasure coming your way. And I'm so grateful you could stay with me throughout the hour. So good night.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by Flamingo Paint. Superiority, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.
Sasso insecticide spray and coil.